Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TARDIS Zone. You're probably wondering why I'm streaming at this hour of the night. Well, I used to stream at this time back in the early days, so I said, why not do a stream? I was sent an article, and well, I was sent a screenshot of an article, and then I went and checked out the article, and then I said, here, I've got to do an old video because the article apparently says that the Doctor Who fandom has been blown apart, ripped apart by the latest Doctor Who rumours. But unfortunately for the media, that's not true. The David Tennant rumour has been out for a very, very long time. Actually, it was even spoken about on the day that RTD was announced when we spoke about that on this channel. We did bring up the possibility, and we did talk about the possibility of Tennant and others returning. So, you know, but apparently now, you know, this article covers the rumour on Gallifrey base, but Eddie and myself and others obviously have been talking about this long before it was actually on Gallifrey base. But it's funny, but they say that the fandom has been blown apart by the latest rumors, and that's not true. And this is why I wanted to do this stream. I do have the article in question, and then I want to read another little article for you as well. But I just want to explain that the situation here. So it's not Doctor Who fans that have been blown apart by the latest rumors. The fans that have been blown apart are fans of this era, fans of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. Because to them, if David Tennant was to get the gig, then to them it's a step backwards. And it actually confirms what we've been saying, is that our Doctor hasn't actually been that popular, and they need to bring someone back that is actually popular to try and save the show. So it ruins their narrative, right? So there has been a lot of reaction from that side, and they're dead against David Tennant returning. So I think the media needs to be very careful here, because you're talking about people that aren't fans of the show. And I'm sorry, they are not fans of the show. They are fans of Jodie Whittaker. They're fans of what this era did with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, but they aren't Doctor Who fans. Doctor Who fans are actually quite excited about the future. There are other Doctor Who fans that, you know, for them, yeah, the announcement of who's going to be the Doctor will be an important decision, whether they continue with the show or not. There is a lot of hurt out there as well. But generally, there's a lot of excitement for the RTD era. So these rumours haven't blown apart Doctor Who fans. We're actually quite excited if David Tennant was to return in any sort of form or capacity. So this whole idea that the fandom has been ripped apart is absolute lies, and it's rubbish. The only people that are upset about this, as I said, are the shippers, the bots, the Whittaker fans, and just people that are not fans of Doctor Who that jumped on board this show when the Doctor became female. That's it. They're the ones that are actually outraged and upset. Doctor Who fans themselves are actually quite excited, as I said. There are some obviously out there that are still hurt about the last few years, and it's going to take a lot more convincing to win those fans over. But, you know, if anybody could do it, it's RTD. And so, again, I'll read this article for you. It's in the link description as well. So if you want to take a look at the article yourself, I won't be reading the whole article, as you know, because it's a bit dodgy. So I'll just breeze through some of the main points here. As I said, the article is in the link description. So if you want to take a look at it yourself, you can go and take a look at it. So here we go. So Doctor Who's future is being blown apart by a bizarre new rumor. Doctor Who fandom usually disintegrates over next Doctor rumors, but the latest one of the weirdest the show's seen in a long time. So let's breeze through this article. As I said, I'm not going to read the whole lot of it because it's there for anybody to read. We'll just go through what we can. So whenever Doctor Who is ready to cast a new Doctor, the internet is always a flurry with wild suggestions and outlandish leaks that more often than not never play out to be true. But as Doctor Who fandom looks toward the return of showrunner RTD and the 14th Doctor arriving in time for the 60th anniversary, the series has found itself caught up in one of the most strangest rumors it's faced in years. But here's another thing as well, and I want to make this point, right? The media are calling it a bizarre rumor, or this journalist is calling it a bizarre rumor. But you see, I think everybody is missing something here, right? Especially the media and especially these fans out here that are outraged about this. The question you must ask yourself is why is David Tennant's name even being considered? Right? Why is the leak so strong that he could be possibly returning? If Jodie Whittaker's Doctor was so successful, right, why would they be going back to the most successful Doctor of the New Who era? A Doctor that wins polls. It's between him and Tom Baker who comes first or second. It changes yearly. But David Tennant is considered the most popular New Who Doctor. So if Jodie Whittaker's Doctor was such a success, why even would the rumour come about that David Tennant could possibly return? Because the reality of the situation is, no matter what the media say, no matter what the supporters of this era say, the YouTubers and the Twitter accounts out there that tell fans that everything is okay with the show and that, you know, ratings are fine, well then why would David Tennant's name even be brought up? His name is being brought up, as I said, because of the things I just said. He's one of the most popular New Who Doctors, and if the show is struggling, right, think about it logically, right? You bring back a showrunner who is considered to have the golden age of New Who, right? Number one, the takeover from Chris Chibnall, right? So you bring back the showrunner that brought it back in 2005, right? And then all of a sudden, as you know, then rumor mill goes into overdrive. And I said this would happen anyway, didn't I? I said, watch, RTD is back now. Watch the rumors fly out left, right, and centre. And that's exactly what's happened. The David Tennant rumor obviously has something to it because multiple people are talking about it. And when multiple people are talking about it, then there's something in it. There has to be. Now, whether it's wires crossed and he's only he is showing up, but he isn't the 14th Doctor, we don't know. That's the thing. That's why it's called a rumor. But multiple people have picked up on this. Alleged leakers operating on fan forums like popular Gallifrey base. But as I said, the likes of Eddie, myself, and others spoke about this way longer than anybody did on Gallifrey base. But of course, because we're not on those forums, you know, we're not going to get any attention on this. But it's not from Gallifrey base. It never was from Gallifrey base. Most of us were talking about it way before this was even on Gallifrey base. So I want to make that clear. But the rumor, right? So they're just talking crap here. So let's just get. So who could play the 14th Doctor, right? So the rumor that has put Who fans in frenzy is it's none other than David Tennant who will return as the Time Lord, right? So apparently, Doctor Who's 60th anniversary in November 2023. The current rumor piggybacks over the recent rumors that Doctor Who was looking to cast a big name actor to play the Doctor in a series of anniversary specials before regenerating into the 15th Doctor for David's fourth season in 2024. Instead of being any big casting name, however, the rumor has put Who fans in a frenzy, and it was David Tennant's name that was popped up basically. So, but the fact that the media love to blow this out of proportion is just funny to me. Even if David Tennant, just say, for example, right, the rumors are true and David Tennant leads the 60th, right? For me, it makes sense because remember, in the 50th anniversary, Tom Baker's character, the curator, said that the Doctor could revisit some of those old faces. So is the Doctor Who canon that can explain it? And they showed the Peter Capaldi, but as I said, also the curator as well also said it. So this article doesn't believe the rumor, right? Which is fair enough. They're giving their opinion as the journalist. But as I said, multiple people have been talking about this. And when multiple people talk about something and they're all singing from the same hymn sheet, as you will, then, you know, I think there's something in it. Now, as I said, this is the problem right now. We don't know whether he is going to be Dr. 14 or whether he's going to come back as his own Doctor. And as I said as well, remember, a lot of fans are forgetting, right? The Meta-Crisis Doctor is out there somewhere in that parallel universe. Now, it could be explained. It could be him. It could be him. So, again, we don't know which way RTD could do this. Is it actually our Doctor, or is it a Meta-Crisis Doctor? So that's another thing as well that fans should consider. And it's nothing that I've heard. I just remembered there is that Meta-Crisis Doctor out there as well. So let's see what everybody in the chat is saying. We got 27 people watching at the moment. Do us a favor, hit that like button, share, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's see. Don't forget, folks, myself and Lee did Cobra Kai last night. So if you haven't checked out the old stream that we did, please do. Yeah, listen, you know, at the end of the day, I don't care if the other fans are having a meltdown. It's not about them. It's not even about us either. Right now, the future of the show is at risk, you know. They've had to pull out all the stops. RTD returning, you know, I don't think fans, no, I'm not calling them fans. I don't think the other side that love this era actually understand the significance of RTD's return. Like, you know, he left. Moffat took over. Then he left and Chibnall took over. It's like they're going back to the showrunner that was successful the first time round. Because let's be honest, while Moffat had some great stories, his era was inconsistent. And the show was slowly declining, unfortunately, under Moffat. And it needed an injection of a fresh idea. So they did. They turned to Chris Chibnall, but it didn't work out. So now, you know, RTD feels it's the right time to return. And him returning is huge. And I don't think these fans, that's what I mean. I don't think they actually get how big this is and how bad the show must be performing if you're bringing back RTD. It just, that's the thing that baffles me about the other side. They're so consumed with their idea of the Doctor and what Jodie's Doctor represents that they can't actually see the significance and the gravitas of this whole situation. RTD returning is massive. And it's massive because it's basically the people that were in charge of Doctor Who, and I mean the bosses of Chibnall, basically admitting that they got it wrong without actually coming out and saying that they got it wrong, because no organisation will actually admit they've got it wrong because, you know, they don't do that. But this decision alone shows that they got it wrong. Remember, he didn't have to come back, right? This was spoken about on this channel when we had guests on this channel. I spoke about it, right? Other people on social media have been speaking about it. RTD didn't need to come back. He didn't need Doctor Who, right? He's wrote successful shows since then, and only most recently, right? He didn't need to come back. He's on a high. He could go right at now at this stage. But he's decided to come back to Doctor Who. And it's significant. And this is why these so-called fans are in for a bit of a shock. You know, because, you know, they think we don't understand RTD because they're, you know, the usual rhetoric from them. Well, they're not my doctors, as they call us. They don't, RTD is very progressive. Yeah, we know. We actually know. The difference is he knows how to do it. Chris Chibnall doesn't. Chris Chibnall's disrespectful. You know, he baits fans. You know, he introduces characters and kills them off within, well, he kills them off in the same episode, whether it's 20 seconds or whether it's a minute and a half, it's irrelevant. But he has absolutely no respect for the people that he's pandering to. It's at least RTD does. And also, he will not alienate fans, and he'll have a way of bringing in the British public like he did the last time. But I do agree with Marty there. It's basically the last throw of the dice. I mean, if RTD can't rescue this, which I believe he can, but just say for some weird reason it doesn't quite work out, right? Everything he does is great, but it just, you know, because it could go, we don't know how it's going to be received, because obviously we've had the last few years. I do know fans are excited, you know, but we've got to temper that a little bit and not get way ahead of ourselves and, you know, and have these expectations which are just impossible. What we want is, right now, what I want from RTD is just something steady, you know, build it up slowly over time and get the show back to its former glory. I do believe that this show can get the ratings it once had, or just do as well as Line of Duty seems to do. It can get those ratings. I do believe that Doctor Who is good enough, and any fan out there, and this is the thing as well, right? I said this the other night, and I need to make this clear to fans, right? Do not ever lower your standards because fans out there have willing to lower their standards, right? We see the usual suspects out there spinning these ratings. Now, the latest is trying to compare them to streaming services, right? BBC is a public entity, right? It's paid by TV license, right? Netflix or Disney Plus is a subscription. So to even compare Doctor Who to those models is actually disingenuous. But that's what they're doing, right? But the thing about it is these fans have lowered their standards, right? To them, this era Doctor Who was great. It's not, right? It's been universally panned. Even now, some of the media outlets are coming out of the woodwork and they're saying how they truly feel about it, right? It's been an absolute mess. But these fans have been willing to lower the standards because Chris Chibnall lowered the standards, but they went with it because obviously their doctor is female. Their doctor is the first woman to play the role. You know, she has this certain agenda that they agree with. So they got behind her either way, right? But the standard of the show was lowered. And I'll never lower my standards, right? I expect Doctor Who to be a certain standard, right? If you can't even reach the Moffat standard, right? Yes, he was inconsistent, but if you can't give us that, at least that, then you're doing something wrong, right? And Chibnall couldn't even get to that level, right? But the gold standard for New Who is RTD's run, right? And he's nowhere near that, Chris Chibnall. He's nowhere near the gold standard that it needs to be. And I will never, never lower my expectations or lower my what was the word? Why have I just completely gone blank? I will never lower my standards. Never. I expect Doctor Who to be a certain quality and a certain standard. And under Chris Chibnall, it wasn't up to that standard. Moffat was inconsistent. RTD, he gave us, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that RTD didn't give us bad episodes during his era because there were one or two, but even I like them because, you know, I love the RTD era. I mean, a lot of fans give Love a Monster stick. I love that bloody episode. I don't like the Idiot's Lantern, that one, and I don't like the Chloe Webber one, the Olympics one. I didn't like that. They were the only two really out of the RTD era that I didn't like, and I liked the rest of them. Right? So that's the standard. Right? Gold standard for New Who. And Chris Chibnall was nowhere near that. He wasn't even Moffat level. So RTD coming back is as big as fans, or these fans of this era realise, right? The Chris Chibnall era was not a success. You were sold a lie by all of those people that have supported this era, from the Twitter accounts to the YouTube channels to the media outlets. They were lying to you. They lied. And you mightn't like me or others out there in the fandom that have been out straight and said it out straight, but the reality of the situation is we were right, they were wrong, and this is why RTD is back. It's last chance saloon for this show. Now, I think it was last year or the year before, Jeremy Clarkson. Now, I don't, Jeremy Clarkson, I don't really, I like Jeremy Clarkson. I watched, obviously, Top Gear growing up, and I watched the Grand Tour as well, and they're still doing specials on that as well. So I watch Jeremy Clarkson, but he has a column apparently in the Sun newspaper. Now, this article doesn't actually say if it was the comments that he made from 2 years ago or last year or something, I think it was. But I think these are new comments from him. And I just wanted to read it because there is a lot I agree with in this, whether people like it or not. He's actually right in what he's talking about. Just hang on there. So I'll share this article. Now, again, not going to go through this whole article. I'll just read these comments. Let me know in the chat if you agree. So Jeremy Clarkson takes a swipe at the BBC's Doctor Who in show rant. According to a BBC source, David Tennant could come back and become the next Doctor again. So even they're talking about, and this is from the Yorkshire Live. Right. So, sorry, this article is skipping all over the place. Jeremy Clarkson has taken a swipe at BBC's Doctor Who for lecturing their audience and claimed the show has lost its spark after its recent episode viewing figures. Doctor Who's latest New Year special saw the show's record its worst viewing figures since the show was rebooted 17 years ago with just 3.4 million viewers. See, that's the reality of the situation. But if you were to listen to the spinners out there, that is successful because they've compared them to streaming services, which you have to buy a subscription for, right? BBC is up, well, it's supposed to be a public entity, but it hasn't been acting like one. But it's a public service. So a lot more people would have access to the BBC because obviously of the TV license and ban, and you know it's mandatory in countries like mine and the UK if you have a TV, right? You don't subscription is not mandatory. You don't have to actually go out and buy a subscription. If you don't buy the subscription, obviously you don't get to see those shows. But if you want to see those shows, you buy a subscription. But the fact that they're using them comparisons is absolutely laughable, by the way. It's laughable. It's disingenuous, and it just shows you how desperate they are. They're still spinning the ratings. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. The show used to bring in numbers of viewers with a rating of 8 million. Yeah, it was 8 to 10 million. Right? And that's what I mean. Doctor Who can get back to that level again. And it actually can. And I believe that. Oh, what have I done? No, what have I done? No. There we go. So, I believe that can happen. Right? There is nothing stopping Doctor Who from getting 8 to 10 million viewers. And in this current climate, folks, that would actually be very good. But it would show up. Listen, remember, these fans always bring up the woman who fell to Earth ratings because she nearly got 12 million. Right? Okay? And they use that as the standard. Okay? Now, that was the first episode, but why did 12 million people watch? Because a lot of fans, a lot of these Jodie Whittaker fans were all interested to see how it all pan out. I even watched the first episode. I actually watched all the series, but I did watch the first episode. Because even though I had my opinions, I wanted to see how it would actually pan out. And that's what happened with a lot of fans. But as soon as the first episode dropped and everybody had seen, then you could tell by the second and third episode that fans had already lost interest. Right? And the British public had lost interest. And ever since, it's been a steady decline, right? So don't tell me that Doctor Who cannot get 8 to 10 million. If Doctor Who is written well and they give us engaging stories, and they do what they used to do, frighten the kids and, you know, keep the adults interested, then there's no way. It's not impossible. It's not in this current climate. It's not. Shows like Line of Duty and all of those other shows that BBC have that do successfully well, it's not a coincidence that they do well. And the other fans on the other side will say, well, they're different shows. You can't be comparing them. I'm not comparing the shows to Doctor Who, but I am comparing the ratings. And why am I comparing the ratings? Well, it's simple. These shows are well written, have great character development, and in some cases have great cliffhangers at the end of each episode. Right? That's the only reason why I compare, is because I show what can happen if you write a decent show. And Doctor Who hasn't been written very well under Chris Chibnall. That's the reality of the situation. Everybody, even on the other side, have criticised his writing. And you all know deep down that he is ultimately responsible for the downfall of this show because his writing is absolutely terrible. His doctor's character development is non-existent. She hasn't changed from episode 1. Mandip Gill, God love her. Yeah, I don't think she's a great actress, but she's been given absolutely nothing worthy to actually challenge her acting skills. Same with Jodie Whittaker. Same with John Bishop, unfortunately. Same with Tosin Cole, Bradley Walsh. You know, even the guest stars that he had on over his run, the scripts that he gave them were terrible. Terrible. And everybody knows this, but they won't criticise, because if you criticise Chris Chibnall, you're criticising this era, and because the Doctor is female, you can't criticise. They made it clear from day one that she was beyond criticism, folks. Especially after she did the stylist video and was mocking fans. Right? They made it clear. So the series premiered, logged a moderate 5.6 million viewers at the time. Further on his column, Jeremy went on to take another jab at the BBC, claiming Doctor Who wasn't the only show in trouble of losing viewers due to its writers. He's also talking about he's still bitter over Top Gear. But in fairness, I will always say this, it kind of was his fault. I mean, you know, if he did what he did, then he did deserve to be sacked. But he is right. He is right. He says, the Star said, it's the same thing with just about everything they do these days, from the 6 o'clock news, the Country File. I watched the charming show by Sir Attenborough this week about the noises birds and whales make. Yeah, I have been watching. This is the thing, though. I have been tuning in for the last 20 minutes of Country File while I've been waiting for Doctor Who when I was doing the watch-alongs. And all I'll just say is, look, the show is not what it used to be. It is different. But look, I have no problem with the way Country File has gone. Listen, you know, the show has always been progressive, even back in the old days. So I have no problem with Country File, to be quite honest, or whether there's diversity or not, for fuck's sake. The country of the UK is a very diverse fucking country, you know. So what if a gardening program highlights some of that? They're still like talking about ways how we can improve the environment and stuff like that. And listen, I'm not into all that climate change rubbish, but I do believe that we could do a lot more to help this planet, because we have fucked it up with the dumps and all the rubbish and, you know, and all the stuff that we throw away. And you've seen the oceans are polluted and all of that. We need to sort all of that stuff out, you know. And I've no problem with shows like Country File highlighting that if they want to. Fuck's sake. So it's just a garden and bleeding show. But so there they bring up David Tennant again. So Jeremy Clarkson basically not happy with the current state, but the extraordinary claim was made. So there it is. They bring up the rumor again. But again, you know, it's funny how all these media outlets have jumped on this when this David Tennant stuff, as I said, was spoken about by several of us. Eddie on Twitter. We spoke about it here on the channel. We even had a guest on that was speaking about it. This isn't news, right? But apparently it is news all of a sudden. But we spoke about this on this channel about David Tennant's possible return. And as I said, now that it's been spoken about by several other people out there, and it has been for a while, by the way, but a lot more people now are talking about it. I reckon there's something in it now. As I said, whether he is Dr. 14 or not, nobody knows. As I said, there is a Metacrisis version of him out there. Maybe that's the version that will become 14 Doctor if this rumor is true. But at the end of the day, you know, this isn't news, and I'm actually quite baffled by it all, because, you know, the reaction from Doctor Who fans themselves has been quite mixed, but mostly positive. The only side that seemed to have a problem with this is the fans of this era and the Jodie Whittaker fans. And the reason why, as I said, they're throwing the toys out of the pram is because if David Tennant comes back, right, they know deep down that's BBC admitting that they messed it royally up, and they need to bring back the best Doctor of the New Who era, well, considered the best Doctor of the New Who era. The fact that RTD has already returned should have been that signal to them, but unfortunately they're a bit slow on the uptake, but they will get it eventually, and I think they are now. And that's why they're complaining about this, even though it's just a rumor, but a rumor that was talked about way before it was on Gallifrey base anyway. That's the thing, you know. It's funny, but it's interesting that the media have picked up on it now. And some articles are also claiming that a source with inside the BBC has told them this. Right? Now, I want to make something clear here. I'm not saying that someone within the BBC doesn't know who RTD has cast, right? But be under no illusion, Doctor Who was under Bad Wolf Productions, right? So it's in Bad Wolf Studios, right? So someone from the BBC, I'm not saying it's not impossible, because obviously, you know, BBC and Bad Wolf will probably, they do have a relationship there. So, you know, it would not be beyond the realms of possibility that someone with inside the BBC would know, right? But this is under Bad Wolf, and if I know RTD, he's very clever about what he wants to be put out there and what he doesn't want to be put out there. So, you know, I wouldn't be jumping just because some people out there are claiming that they have a BBC source in the articles saying that someone from the BBC has actually told them. There's a possibility that that could be just all lies, because, as I said, it's under Bad Wolf's stewardship now. They're in charge. Bringing Tennant back isn't going to fix anything. His ratings for Around the Woke in 80 days is abysmal. The timeless child monster must go. Well, Around the World in 80 days isn't woke. I don't know where you're getting that from. Yes, I know they've gender swapped the role and they've changed another role, but it doesn't take from the story at all. As for the timeless child, as I said again, and I'm blue in the face saying it, the only one that can sort out the timeless children mess is Chris Chibnall himself. RTD is not going to screw his mate in the back by coming out and retconning what he done. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying that on this channel, right? That is the fact, and that is the reality of the situation, right? Chris Chibnall will be the one, whether he does it or not, right? RTD is not even going to concentrate on the Chris Chibnall era, i.e. he will not go near the timeless children rubbish. Okay? So, as I said, if him ignoring it is not enough for you, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. He ain't going to stab his mate in the back and actually retcon what he's done. They're friends. So, you know, they might have their differences, but friends are friends, and he's not going to retcon this, right? If anybody's going to fix this, it's Chris Chibnall himself, and he has 2 episodes to do that. So I'll say it again, right? RTD is not going to stab his mate in the back and retcon this, okay? It's done. So yeah, that's the situation there, right? I mean, you can all say that that's what you want to happen. It's not going to happen. He's not going to retcon this, right? That's up to Chris Chibnall. He's the current showrunner. He's got 2 episodes to go, right? Until his part of this mess is over, right? So he's the one that's going to do it if it does get retconned, right? If it doesn't get retconned, I'm going to tell you right now, RTD is not going to touch it, right? He's not going to stab his mate in the back. It's as simple as that. So, look, the best we can hope is that he ignores it and does his own thing, which I believe he probably will do anyway. So, you know, it'll be up to fans whether they can move on from that. If they can't, well then, you know, as I said, RTD has a knack of bringing new fans and new people into this franchise, and that's exactly what he'll do. So, you know, I keep saying it. I keep saying it, and it's not. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying it, but that's the reality. I'm sorry, RTD ain't doing nothing about this. Well, I'm 4 episodes into Around the World in 80 Days, and I love that the book. I love the adaptations that they've done, movies in the past, and I don't have a problem with it. If that's your opinion about it, then that's fine, fair enough. You're entitled to that opinion. But as I said, we're not talking about Around the World in 80 Days. We're actually talking about the point that you brought up about the timeless monster, as you call it, being retconned. RTD is not going to do that. He's not going to stab his mate in the back. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. You know, at the end of the day, he's not. That's the reality of the situation. Chris Chibnall is the one that wrote this mess. Why should it be left to RTD anyway to come in and fix this? It's not his job. It's not his job, and it shouldn't be his job. His job is to move this show forward and to give us some great stories. But his job shouldn't be bogged down to fix the mess that Chris Chibnall has created. Right? That's up to him to fix. RTD cannot get bogged down in trying to fix this. If he does, I'm telling you now, I already know the reaction of fans out there. They won't be too pleased about it. They want him to move on. We want a fresh start, right? We don't want to go back to the past or poison the RTD era with this past era. He needs a clean, fresh break from it. If he concentrates on trying to fix this, it's not going to work. Fans will walk away. They've had enough of this era. The last 2 episodes are upon us soon. Well, soon enough. But where's the excitement for it? There's none. Fans have already tuned out. They're done. They were done after even, well, they were done a long time ago, but even the Daleks especially sent even the ones that were, you know, hanging on by a thread. Sure, he's finished them off. They're done now. So he can't get bogged down. I'm sorry. No. He needs a clean break. He needs to get away from this era. Because if he starts going back into that era and tapping into that era to try and fix what Chris Chibnall did, even though I know he wouldn't do it because it's his mate anyway, but just say he did, I'm telling you now, fans won't watch. Fans won't watch. Why would they watch when they despise this era and despise everything about it? Why would RTD then concentrate on trying to fix it? It makes no sense whatsoever. You leave well alone and you move on and you do your own thing. That's the best he can do. The only person that can actually fix this is Chris Chibnall, and he's got 2 stories to do that. So again, you know, I said that this was a conversation to have after the last 2 episodes, and then we'll see where we're at. But RTD ain't, and I'll keep saying it, he ain't retconning this. He will do his own thing, and I hope to God that he stays well away from this, to be quite honest with you. I want to see something brand new. Right? I don't want him tapping into this era. Why would you want to sully his era with this absolute rubbish and get him to explain it? It makes no sense. On one hand, you are saying, oh, we can't stand this era. But then on the other hand, you are saying, well, you just want RTD to fix this era. Instead of actually saying, or doing what Ghostbusters Afterlife did, just ignore it. No, he's not. He's not. Look, that's his opinion. He's not doing that. And look, Argyros has his opinion. He's being consistent all the way through. So I'm not going to criticize him for having that opinion, because he has been consistent from day one. I have to give it to him. But at the end of the day, all I'm just trying to tell him is RTD is not going to touch this, mate. He doesn't want to have anything to do with this. He wants to do his own thing. He wouldn't be coming back. Trust me, he would not come back if he knew that he had to fix this mess. Right? Why would he? Why would he want his era to try and fix the problems that another showrunner created, when all you can do is just ignore it and hope that the current showrunner with the 2 episodes left actually fixes it, so, you know, we can move on. This is what he's done, though. You know, this is what Chris Chibnall has done. You know, there are a lot of fans like Argyros that are out there, you know, that this has to be fixed before they can move on. And, you know, on one hand, I don't blame them. But RTD won't. And I just need fans to understand that RTD definitely will not stab his mate in the back and retcon what Chris Chibnall has done. Chris Chibnall has 2 episodes left of his current run before he's got, well, he is gone officially, but you know what I mean? He still has 2 more episodes to do. Right? So those episodes, as soon as they drop, then we will know whether he's retconned this nonsense or not. And whether he has or not, it's irrelevant to RTD. He will move the show on the way he sees fit. And if he does try fix this, I'm telling you, it's going to backfire. And it will. Because fans won't want him to come back and concentrate on that. They want to see him do something extraordinary with this show and bring this show back to its former glory. Because I believe it can. But if it gets bogged down in all of this time, this children nonsense, tries to figure it out and tries to fix it, I'm sorry, the time this child has left such a sour taste in fans' mouths that I don't think they'd be even able to stomach RTD trying to explain this mess. That's why it's important for me, and I believe that if anybody is going to do it, it will be Chris Chibnall, because he's the one that created this mess in the first place. RTD shouldn't have to come back and try and explain and fix this. He should be able to put his own stamp and his own vision on the show, which if you actually listen to the comments of Piers Wenger, it already sounds like that anyway when he said that this show will be introduced to a new generation of fans, right? So that already indicates to me that RTD is already going to do something different and isn't going to touch this at all. So that's where I stand on it. But this whole nonsense, nonsense about it's ripped apart the fandom is an absolute lie. So long as he has his own vision, I will at least try and move on, says Daniel. Exactly. That's look, Ghostbusters Afterlife did it successfully. Yeah, they did kind of have a line in there that kind of retconned 2016's version, but 2016's version, as we know, was already in a different universe anyway, because that's what the director said. So, you know, technically, you know, Afterlife didn't really retcon 2016, because 2016 was already in its own universe until the box set came out or was announced, and then the director then had a hissy fit and basically said, well, these are this in my version. But even though he had said it was in a different universe and this is a different universe box set. But you know what I mean? It's another joke now, but we have to come to expect from the media that supported this rubbish. I know that's what I mean. Look, as I said, there's 2 more episodes to go. You know, we'll see where we are. But at the end of the day, either way, I'm going to give RTD a chance to show me what he can do with Doctor Who now. I do personally hope as well he doesn't get bogged down in this child nonsense. I don't believe he will. So I'm still excited to see. You know, I mean, there's been a couple of announcements made since then that have excited fans as well. So look, you know, we'll see what happens in the next few weeks and months to come. But it's a very interesting time. But yeah, I mean, look, RTD does have a hard job, but if anybody can do it, it is him. But he definitely won't be retconning No Timeless Child. That'll be up to the showrunner that created this mess. And listen, for the future of the show, you know, if Chris Chibnall has any sense, you know, he will. But if he's vindictive, he will obviously the next 2 episodes double down on all of this. Remember, the fob watch is in the heart of the TARDIS. So there's still a get out of jail clause for Chris Chibnall to retcon this if he chooses to do so. Or he could do it out of spite and just leave it there and basically leave it up in the air whether the Doctor is the Timeless Child or not. Because even though the Master and Tectoyum have told the Doctor that, yeah, it's all true what the Master told you and all of this, she could have been still lying because the fob watch is there. You know, unless the fob watch is opened, we will never definitively know whether the Doctor is the Timeless Child or not. So he could leave it open as well. You know? But it's up to Chris. We'll see what Chris does. We'll see what he does anyway. I don't think it'll get mentioned again, and he will do a soft reboot, says Disaster Area. Look, I don't know. I don't care what RTD does, right? All I care about is RTD giving us some great characters, great stories again, and giving us the Doctor Who that we love and know, and the Doctor Who that we expect the standard that was set by him originally for New Who. There's a certain standard in New Who, and since RTD has left, that standard hasn't been quite reached. Moffat, as I said, was inconsistent. He gave us more good stories than bad, I will admit that, but he was still inconsistent, especially with Peter Capaldi and with Jenna Coleman's character, in particular Clara. I don't think he really, he kind of went mad on her. He went mad on River Song as well, didn't, kept adding to her story and stuff. And some of it was good and some of it was rubbish. Same with Clara. And Peter Capaldi, I think, is where his biggest mistake happened because, obviously when Peter burst onto the screens, his Doctor was originally kind of dark, as you see in Series 8. In Series 9, then he kind of changed them up again. But Series 10, then I think he got the balance absolutely spot on. And Bill Potts, Pearl Mackie was, I love that dynamic, the professor-student dynamic. It worked. But this show has not been consistent since RTD. And now he is back. So we'll see what happens. I don't expect RTD directly to touch upon the Timeless Child, but I expect the future story to totally contradict the Timeless Child plot. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's too early to say what RTD is going to do. As I said, for some fans, the next decision on who the casting is important for some of those fans. So once we know who he's cast, then we can talk more about the possibilities. And we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting, as I said, interesting times clearly ahead. But I just love the fact, look, the reason why I wanted to kind of do this video and talk to you is I haven't done one in a while with just myself anyway, but the reason why I wanted, because when I seen that article, I was kind of like, this has been going on for months now. And what do I mean by that? I mean the total nonsense from the media. They've nothing significant to talk about because, Chris Chibnall, he doesn't give them a bone. He gives them nothing. RTD's announcement now has opened the floodgates to all of these rumors, and even some articles have even blatantly done articles on a hoax screenshot and stuff. They're not even doing their research, and this is why I wanted to do this video, because another thing that's not helping the situation is the lazy nature of the media out there, right? They're clearly not doing their research, right? They've got clearly nothing to talk about Doctor Who, because as I said, Chris Chibnall gives them nothing about the next 2 episodes that are literally left, but there's nothing really about them, right? So they need to talk about something connected with Doctor Who. So when they literally see fans talk about a rumor on Gallifrey base that was spoken about on this channel, spoken about on Twitter by Eddie and others, right? Literally months ago, it just goes to show you they've got nothing better to do. As I said, they've become so lazy. It's unbelievable. I'd even question if some of these people are even journalists. The screenshot, for example, that Matt Stevens was going to be part of Bad Wolf's production of Doctor Who, and that it was still in Routlock, right? The screenshot was clearly fake, and some journalist did a whole article on it. And then because she did the whole article on it, other news outlets, without even looking in and doing, as I said, the necessary research to prove that this was actually a hoax, reported on it until someone finally copped on in the media and actually reported it as a hoax. But there were still articles out there like reporting, and I was like, but it's already had to be proven a hoax. Fans are telling you it's a hoax, but you won't report on those fans because it's not the other side that are saying it's a hoax. The problem is, right, as I said, over the last year, we've seen it lately that there's been a lot of rumours being made up on Reddit, Gallifrey Base, other forums, YouTube channels even have been putting out false information. And what has happened? The media has picked up on them all because they've nothing better to do. So, look, don't be listening to the media. As I said, as someone said in the problem being there just said, journalists are all activists these days. Exactly. They all have an agenda. That's why they push certain actresses for this job, because it's all agenda driven. Journalists are not impartial anymore. They're basically, they're propaganda mouthpieces for these fans and for obviously the BBC when BBC needed to spin for Doctor Who. RTD is doing auditions, says Raymond Williams. Well, he did mention that he was doing auditions, all right. Right? But if the rumor is true, Raymond, think about it logically. He didn't say. He said auditions were starting for the new Doctor, right? So the thing about it is, right, if the David Tennant rumor is true, well then David Tennant is returning in some capacity. That doesn't necessarily mean he is for Dr. 14. As I said, we don't even know if it's the 10th Doctor coming back as the 14th Doctor, or whether it's the Meta-Crisis Doctor going to be the 14th Doctor, or whether he's just in the 60th anniversary as his own Doctor. But either way, David Tennant's name gets mentioned. And as I said, this has been going on a while, even before it's on Gallifrey Base. This rumour has gathered momentum. And now it's out there now in the mainstream media. But this has been spoken about on this channel. We even had Garminator on. Do you remember that? Go back and watch that stream actually with Garminator, right? If I remember correctly, Marty was in the chat asking Garminator some questions, and I was throwing the questions up. And it wasn't specific, it wasn't explicitly told that it was David Tennant, but there was a hint towards that maybe someone from Doctor Who's past was going to return. You should go back and watch that stream. And even before that stream, we'd done streams, because Lee had reminded me, we've been talking about this ever since RTD returned. Because we were talking, I think I had Charlotte on that panel as well, and we were talking about all the different possibilities and who could return and stuff like that. Tennant is only returning for the 60th, says Disaster Area. Yeah, but the rumour is, what capacity is he returning as in the 60th? Is he turning up as his own Doctor? Or is he the new Doctor? Or is it the Meta-Crisis Doctor? Remember, there is a Meta-Crisis Doctor out there. Remember that. So that's the thing. That's why this one has extra on it, because even though it's David Tennant and people would automatically think, yeah, he's coming back as his own Doctor. But this rumour that's just officially broke a few days back isn't a rumour that officially broke a few days back. This has been talked about for months, as I said, on this channel by people on Twitter, right, that are in the know, right? We've even had on a guest here that hinted towards it. So, that's why this is interesting. Because there's other people out there now that are basically confirming what we've been speaking about and others have been speaking about. months ago. So look, personally speaking, right? If David Tennant is to come back, I would like him to be his own doctor. Personally, right? But if they are going to do this, I will remember Tom Baker's character, the creator, when he was talking to Matt Smith's doctor, say that he could revisit some of the old faces. I remember Peter Capaldi was also in The Fires of Pompeii, and then later became the Doctor. So it isn't beyond the realms of a possibility, right? But as I said, we have to wait and see how this rumor now, because it's out there now proper, right? It's been spoken about in close Doctor Who circles and on certain channels, as I said, this channel, and it's been spoken about on Twitter. But now it's out there proper publicly now. So, we have to, we'll see how this develops. What if 13's regeneration goes wrong and regresses back to 10, and 16 involves finding himself again and turns into 14 at the end, setting up a new series with the new Doctor? That sounds absolutely, yeah. You know what, though? There could be, I was kind of thinking of that show. It's just popped into my head because you said, what if, right? There is a show by Disney Plus called What If, right? What if certain things had happened and stuff like that? What if RTD is doing that for the 60th? A kind of a what if story. Remember, RTD took his inspiration from Buffy the Vampire Slayer back when he brought the show back, right? He could be taking inspiration from other shows out there that have recently been released, including his own ones. This is what I mean. Like, to speculate, by the way, I haven't been told that, and I'm just speculating here. What if they did a kind of a what if story? What if this didn't happen and this happened instead? And that's how somehow David Tennant's Doctor is actually Dr. 14 or something like that. I don't know. See, this is what I'm saying. It's great to speculate on things like that. But interesting times ahead. So, yeah, I'm just checking now to see. Yeah. Yeah, I think there will be a multi-series franchise at some point, but it all depends on how successful his Doctor Who is. It depends on that. The main show, I've always said this, the possibilities now are endless. But the main show has to be on solid foundations before you consider any of these. He did it right the last time as well. He made sure Doctor Who was established, and then he gave us Torchwood. Now, whether you're a fan of Torchwood or not, I am. I know a lot of you aren't that are on this channel in the chat, but I was a fan. But, you wouldn't have got the Sarah Jane Adventures or Torchwood or any spin-off of any sort if the main show hadn't have been done well. So once he gets the show back to where he wants to get it back and where he believes is successful, then you can then talk about other spin-offs. But I would like to see personally, I would like to see Paul McGann return in a 6-part mini-series maybe about his time as the Doctor, because even when Moffat brought him back for the night of the Doctor. That was he was that look, we watched it recently actually again behind the scenes, and you know, he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And I think, look, I know the fandom, and I know fans would definitely want a Paul McGann series. You could even do an Ace spin-off, and you could bring back former companions as well that are still alive and kicking today, and give them cameo roles, a bit like Cobra Kai and stuff like that. You could do stuff like that. Look at the possibilities are endless under RTD, but the main show will definitely have to be solid before he considers doing any of these. I want them to solely concentrate on the shows that he has under Bad Wolf Productions books, and he will give Doctor Who everything. I know that for a fact, but I just want him to concentrate on giving us the best Doctor Who that his ability can give us. And once that's solid, once that's a ratings smash hit, then we could start talking about spin-offs and expanding the universe. And I'd even say still to this day, there was, I don't know now if, I think there is, because I think our Big Finish audios do well. But, it's been spoke about for years as well. Jenny, the Doctor's daughter, female Time Lord, you could bring her back. You could give her own adventures and stuff like that. So, look, this franchise can basically suit the needs of everybody. Get the main show on solid foundation where young and old fans can come together. Then you make a show specifically for the adults, right? And either Paul McGann series about the Time War, right? And maybe bring back Torchwood. And then for the younger fans and other fans out there that they want to bring in, you could have the Jenny Adventures or the Ace Adventures and stuff like this. And they all come together then, and they all connect, I should say, to the main franchise, but they add to the canon and stuff, and not in a negative way, obviously. It has to be done properly. Torchwood didn't have a negative impact on Doctor Who canon, I have to say, so that's a good thing. So, but you just need to make sure the main show is solid first before you even consider them. But the possibilities here for RTD and his team is endless. So we'll see what happens. Right, listen, my computer is about to go bloody dead, so I better finish up this stream before it does. But I just wanted to give you my thoughts on what I'd seen today, and I just wanted to fill you all in. We'll be back for Contact tomorrow. There's a couple of things to talk about tomorrow, so we'll be back for that. Then Saturday, then we have our Classic Who, Sunday New Who, and then as you know, Wednesdays is Cobra Kai. Look out for the trailer. I'm going to be dropping the trailer soon, so look out for that. We're on Series 2 next Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have Melina joining us. She's a bit under the weather at the moment, so get well soon. And hopefully we'll have our next week on the panel with myself and Lee. So come and join us for Cobra Kai Series 2 every Wednesday. Yeah. So look, I'll leave it there. Thanks for joining me, folks. Have a good one. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and good night.